In his essay, The Wisdom of Life, published in 1860, German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer posited that the biggest obstacles to human happiness was pain and boredom. In the degree that we are fortunate enough to get away from one, he argued, we approach the other. Life presents a more or less violent oscillation between the two. Needy surroundings and poverty produce pain, he continued, while if a man is more than well off, he is bored. Accordingly, while the lower classes are engaged with a ceaseless struggle with need, in other words, pain, the upper carry on a constant and often desperate battle with boredom. In The Wisdom of Life, he insists that we are basically stuck between the two states. The further you get away from one, the closer you move towards the other. However, Schopenhauer, who is typically known for having a very pessimistic view of life, tries to come up with a solution. He recommends that we abandon our preoccupation with the world around us and instead retreat to the world of thought so we may create inward wealth. Nothing, he says, is so good a protection against such misery as inward wealth. The wealth of the mind, because the greater it grows, the less room it leaves for boredom. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that among the major American writers of the 20th century, very, very few have been as influential as Ernest Hemingway. I was 11 or 12 years old when I first discovered The Old Man and the Sea in my parents' library. And even though I did not fully grasp the themes of the suffering hero who in the face of great adversity demonstrates courage, determination, and survival, I couldn't help but notice how simplistic his writing style was. Most of the words in the book were 1 or 2 syllables long, and the sentences were short and direct. It was almost like reading a children's book, though it quickly became apparent that it's anything but that. His easy to understand writing style and the subtext in his messaging quickly drew me to his other works and eventually to the man himself. His love of nature, his love of the outdoors was fascinating and inspirational in so many ways. Hemingway, whether you were studying his work or his life, had a way of making the imagination run wild. He was any and everything but boring. The Old Man and the Sea will eventually earn him the Nobel Prize in Literature for his mastery of the art of narrative and for the influence he exerted on the contemporary style of writing. But even with this crowning achievement, Hemingway spent his last years mired in depression and declining health. He was in enormous pain and will eventually take his own life with a shotgun in 1961. His effect to millions around the world and his legacy as a great writer and storyteller is well documented. But to me, he was more than that. He fostered my love of books and art. He taught me that even the most complex story or plotline can be told in a straightforward, direct, and simplistic manner. Just like in a children's book. It need not be more complicated than that.